Charlie, so happy to speak with you again. Morvith, welcome to my abode.
Lovely.
I'm so excited to speak with you both. I know you're very busy. I'll be as brief as possible, so I'm going to dive right in.
Nice.
Yes, let's crack on.
Your relationship between Galadriel and Sauron in season 1 was the nucleus of what hooked me into the show. Once I saw that, I was like, I'm in. How do you interpret the relationship between Galadriel and Sauron from season 1 and how it evolved going into season 2 from your perspective?
Well, they're two extremes that are kind of on the same line. That's kind of what I feel about them, that they're fizzling with power and possibility, and they will continue to become further and further apart from each other as they make choices that the other would never dream of doing.
I think that's it, that they start aligned, and they start aligned from Sauron's perspective. Galadriel shows him some things, inadvertently draws him back towards the darkness by showing him possibilities that he couldn't imagine, in the sense of like she brings this light and goodness, and he sees things in her that can control, like her ways of leading armies or seeking out her goals and striving towards a different end point that he could imagine. The kind of illuminate some things for him in terms of how he can control others, and that's why he wants her to join.
And he capitalizes on her cynicism and despair, and she will have to keep that at bay to be free of him.
I love that. I love all of that. What was the mindset, and well, at least from your perspectives again, what was your mindset when approaching how to portray them going into season 2 versus how you did it in season 1?
Sauron's different in that he obviously looks different and walks different and talks different. So that was the portrayal kind of changed externally, but internally I wanted everything to be aligned with Halbrand. And I found that the further I went through the process of developing the character, there were more and more similarities with Halbrand in that he wants to heal Middle-earth and save Middle-earth. It's just he has been separated from Galadriel now, as in the way you were talking before, Mordovith, about they're becoming more opposite to each other. And I think that when the season picks up, you can see that he is driven to kind of exert his rule over the elves, and try and solve this problem of a power not of the flesh but over flesh.
Yeah. And she has lost her privileges. So she's got to suffer. She needs to learn. And it was really fun playing someone so powerful, having to being kind of brought low and having to be humbled.
Well, hearing how intimate you are with your characters, I really have to ask, what's something that you each have in common with your characters, and what did playing this role teach you about yourself?
I like to think that I feel things can be better than they are. And that's something that I think Galadriel is striving towards. But it's also something that I know I have to keep my cynicism at bay. And it's been wonderful to play a character that I feel keeps me on my toes as a human being.
And it's tricky for me. I don't want to say too many similarities, but one thing I know is that like I am not very good with disorder in my life.
To be organized.
Yeah, and Sauron shares that. He hates wasteful friction, which kind of, that's what Tolkien wrote about him in his letters, which kind of makes him sound like conflict avoidant, but he's definitely not conflict avoidant. But I think he wants everything to run like a well-oiled machine, and I kind of like things to be ordered in the same way.
Yeah.
Well,
not to quite the same extent.
Yeah, don't be impaling people on a spear over this.
He's very luckily not method.
Yeah.
Thank goodness.
Thankfully.
Were there any scenes from season 2 that each of you were particularly proud of, either because of the emotional depth or just the impact on the story?
I mean, I can answer it.
Yeah,
I mean, I loved the scene, Keller Brimbo's death, and I think it was because Charlie did an amazing actual thing of dying. I haven't actually talked about this, but like his moment of death, I was like, oh yeah, so they must have like done a bit of CGI on that, right, to make you die. And he was like, no, that was what I did.
Yeah.
Like, that whole scene, I think it's because it's a canon. It's so related to things that are in the Silmarillion. I mean, it literally is. When I found out I was shooting him with arrows and doing the whole impaling him up the top of the spear, I was incredibly excited and proud of the arc that we achieved within that scene.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But
I loved the conversation that me and Galadriel and Elrond have, where he's kind of being like, how can you have hope to carry on? And she's like, you've got to carry on. Basically, the gist of it is you've got to keep striving for things to be better, even if you don't think you're ultimately going to win. You've got to keep fighting against the darkness, even though the sun might set.
Well, thank you both so much. This is a wonderful insight into the world of Rings of Power from your perspective. Thank you for that. I still bow before the might of Sauron. Well, thank you both so much. I can't wait to speak to you again, hopefully with season 3. But thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you.